Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Joey. A lot of you guys know me as Xclusive, and today I wanted to kind of explain my story a little bit. I get a lot of questions over on Twitter, as well as on YouTube, and even in my streams. I get asked a lot, what happened to your back? Why is your back the way it is? Like, explaining, people ask me all the time to explain what my surgery was, or explain what had actually happened to my back, and I think I've talked about it a few times in different videos and in pieces. I've never actually made a full-blown video that explains what my back, you know, what happened to it and why it is the way it is and what my surgery was and how it affects my life and all of that. I don't think I've ever made an actual video, like an official video, talking about that, so I figured we'd do that here today. So it all started back in 6th grade. If you guys don't know, if you don't live in the States and you don't know how, you know, old you are when you're in 6th grade, I'm not sure how it works, you know, out of country. But 6th grade is about 11 or 12 years old. It all started back then, basically, when I was in gym class. They did these routine scoliosis checks. Your nurse would basically have you bend over, and she would kind of just check your spine and see if it's straight. And if it wasn't, they'd tell you, and they'd have you go get checked out and make sure, you know, they'd help, and they'd see if you had scoliosis. So it was just another routine check. I mean, they did it every, like, I don't know how often. They did it every couple months. So they would do it, and everything would be fine. But this one, they did it. They did the check, and I bent over, and they checked my spine, and they're like, "You have scoliosis." When she told me I had scoliosis, I didn't really think anything of it. I mean, I was, what, 11, so I had no idea what it was. I wasn't scared. I didn't have any idea how badly it would really affect my life. And not everybody who has scoliosis is crazy affected by it. I mean, everybody's curved in a sense is different. And for those of you guys that have no idea what scoliosis is, it's basically just the curvature of your spine. So, I mean, there are different types of it, and for me, personally, what I had, my spine curved like an S. So if you guys don't know what that means, my spine literally looked like an S. It, over time, and as you grow, your spine just kind of continues to bend, and as you have scoliosis, it just kind of progressively gets worse until you stop growing. So my spine was an S, and when I was a kid, when I was 11, and they first told me that I had scoliosis, like I said, I had no idea what that meant. I didn't really think of it as much of a big deal. I mean, it didn't seem like that big of a deal at the time. And like I said, it affects people, it literally affects people all across the world in many different ways. I mean, some people very, very minimally, it doesn't affect their life at all. And some people, it almost changes everything, and for me, it definitely did. So after she had told me that, we went to a specialist by the name of Dr. Marsh. He specialized in orthopedic surgery at the Yale New Haven Hospital in Connecticut. And we went and saw him, and he really helped me. Like, he really, really did. And he wasn't actually the one that was my surgeon, even though he was a specialist in orthopedic surgery. He didn't actually do my surgery, but he kind of moved me into the right direction. He pushed me to the right people. And we did a whole bunch of different x-rays with him, and he x-rayed my hand to see, you know, when I was going to stop growing, so we could see when my spine was going to stop curving. He would check and do routine x-rays and scans on my back to see progressively how badly it's getting. It was going to be that big of a deal for me in my life, and really explain to me what my scoliosis was and how it was going to affect me in a sense. So basically, like I said, it was a S. If you guys don't know exactly how scoliosis works, in a sense, they measure it in a sense of like a degree. So basically, my spine was curved at 42 degrees, which was bad. I mean, that at the time it wasn't that bad, and like I said, it progressively got worse as I grew. So I think I saw him for probably about 2 years before it really got to that point of like 42 degrees. Like, okay, you should probably do something to fix this. But he explained to me what my scoliosis was. He explained to me, like I said, that my spine was curved like an S, that it was basically going into my pelvis, which is the bone where your hips are. Basically, it was going into my pelvis. Instead of going in straight like everybody else's spine, my spine was basically going in on an angle, and it was just leaning on my pelvis. So that was where the source of my pain was coming from, and that's the reason, obviously, that I went and even got it checked out. Because obviously, if you get told you have something, like, the first initial reaction, I guess, would be to go get it checked out. But if it's not really affecting your life, it's not really hurting you in any sense, and most of the time, you don't really think of it too much of a big deal. But for me, it was causing me some pretty bad pain. I mean, the scoliosis in itself caused discomfort. I mean, it's a deformity, you know, it did cause discomfort, but it wasn't affecting my life too bad at the time. I mean, I was only like 11, you know, and I'm 19 right now, so I'm talking to you guys, you know, many, many years after the fact. But after about 2 years, or maybe even 3, of my scoliosis progressively getting worse, I mean, that was the very first time that I had ever heard I even had scoliosis, and I'm kind of skipping a couple of years here to the point where we actually went and saw somebody. I mean, I found out in 6th grade that I had scoliosis, and like I said, I didn't think anything of it. And then a couple of years passed by to the point where, you know, as I hit my growth spurt, as I started to grow, it progressively got much, much worse. And as my spine started reaching that 42-degree mark, I mean, we tried a whole bunch of different things. We tried a brace, which at the time was supposed to, like I said, my spine curved like an S. So if you can picture an S, the S has kind of like 2 bends. And we were going to try and get a brace that would hopefully push those 2 bends in and eventually make my spine straight. For me, my curve was just too bad to the point where it wasn't affected at all by the brace. It just continued to push the brace out of alignment, and my spine just continued to get worse. So after the brace was basically out the window, that no longer worked. That idea was hopefully, I mean, that was supposed to be as planned for that was supposed to be like a 2-year plan that eventually it would get a little bit better. It would kind of like limit the damage in a sense, but it wouldn't fix it. And nothing really can fix it. I mean, no matter what they do, even if they did do surgery, there was nothing they could do to 100% fix my back. But they could limit the damage, and they could at least help in some way to put me out of the massive amounts of pain that I was in. Basically, after the brace, like I said, was out the window, he suggested physical therapy, and that was like the only thing that they had suggested to me. They didn't suggest surgery. My back didn't necessarily qualify for surgery. I think you have to have a 50-degree curve for you to fully qualify to actually have some sort of fusion or something to, like a corrective surgery to actually help your spine. So they suggested physical therapy. They just wanted me to, in a sense, it was almost like a temporary solution. It was something that was going to help me manage the pain in a sense, but it wasn't actually going to fix anything, and I wasn't okay with that. I wasn't okay with basically just letting it win. I wanted something that would fix it. I wanted something that would put me out of the pain forever. You know, I didn't want something that was going to limit the pain. I wanted something that was going to fix everything. And obviously life is not perfect, and there is nothing that can 100% fix this. But eventually, when the pain got too bad at the time and I denied physical therapy, they suggested a spinal fusion. So basically what a spinal fusion is one, it's a corrective surgery where instead of my spine being an S, they would, I could go into all the technical details about what the spinal fusion actually is or what it actually does, but how it affects my life in a sense. Basically what they did was they straightened my spine. I mean, in a nutshell, they straightened my spine. My spine is no longer curved, but the spinal fusion was supposed to straighten my spine, and it would, unfortunately, when you fuse your spine, I mean, other people have their spines fused in different places. For me, I had a fusion, my spine was fused from the L1 vertebrae all the way up to the T6, so that's basically like half of your spine was just fused. And if you guys don't know how your spine works, basically you have a bone, and then you have, I don't know what exactly it's called or whatever the technical term is. I'm not a doctor, I don't really know what it's called, but there's something that basically separates the bones. You know, you have like one bone, and then you have something in between before you hit the other bone. Basically what they do for a fusion is they take out that stuff that's in between, they take it out in between each vertebrae, and then they fuse all the bones together. So instead of having a whole bunch of different little vertebrae, all of my bones are now just fused into one. So basically the pros and cons of the surgery: one, obviously it was going to fix my back. That was the big thing that I had seen, and they said at the time that it was going to fix my pain. You know, like my pain that it was putting me in was bad. It was very bad, and I didn't exactly know, like I said, what pain was. I really didn't fully know how bad it could possibly get until after my surgery. But the pros and cons, the pro obviously was that it was going to fix my back. My back was no longer going to be curved. It was going to be straight. It was going to be fixed. I was going to look like a normal person in a sense. You know, my spine was going to go into my pelvis straight, and everything in a sense was going to fall back into place. Everything was going to be fixed. Because what my spine was doing was basically, it was curving. It wasn't just curving my spine and putting me in a lot of discomfort. It was shifting my shoulders. So instead of my shoulders being straight the way they are, you're supposed to have your shoulders kind of on the same level. My shoulders were kind of elevating and sinking in different directions. My hips were going in the opposite direction. My ribs were curving. Instead of being here, and I'll show you guys some pictures, my spine was basically curving my ribs into my body. It was bad. I mean, it was really, it was really moving a whole bunch of the important parts of my body around and just causing me a lot of unnecessary pain that I really never wanted to feel. The cons of my surgery are honestly pretty big, and there were a lot of thinking that went into this. There was a lot of thinking and a lot of weighing the options back and forth, because the con of this surgery was basically I'd lose all lumbar movement in my back, and if you guys don't know what that means, it basically means I can't bend, I can't twist, I won't be able to do any of that. And that was something that, since I was only, I think at the time I was brought to that, or I was given those options when I was, I think, like in the older part of being 17, so I was just about to turn 18. And I was still very, very young. I mean, I was still very young to the point where I didn't want to lose all of my lumbar ability. I didn't want to never be able to bend again, you know, I didn't want to never be able to twist again. Any of that lumbar movement that you guys use in your lower back, I wanted to be able to do that. I mean, I was only a kid. I had my entire life ahead of me. I didn't want that to limit me that much. So it was a very big decision. It was something that honestly was going to change my life forever. And since I denied having physical therapy, I denied everything else that was going to try and help me, even though it was all temporary solutions, surgery seemed like the best bet. So I approved the surgery. I said yes. I said I wanted to do it. They prepped me and we went in and did it. My surgery was on May 16th of 2013. Like I said, I'm 19 years old now, so that was last year. I am, I think, about 10 months and 17 days post-op now, from the day I'm recording this. Basically, they got me all prepped up for surgery. They did all the normal routine checks. They, you know, when I went in for surgery, I think it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. No, it wasn't even 6 o'clock, it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. And when I went in for surgery, obviously they laid me down. I had to get my hospital gown. They put some IVs in me. I talked to a whole bunch of different people. I talked to my surgeon. I talked to just a whole bunch of different people, nurses, the anesthesiologist, everybody you need to talk to before surgery that's going to tell you that everything's going to be okay and really explain exactly what's going to happen. I talked to all of them, and at the time, honestly, I was terrified. I had never been so afraid in my entire life, because I knew that, well, one, I had never had surgery before. I mean, surgery was something that I had been kind of afraid of, in a sense, for a very long time, but I'd never had the, you know, misfortune of having to have surgery. I never broke a bone. I had never needed surgery in my life. And to jump in and have a major surgery, I mean, they said this surgery was right under, like, a heart or a brain surgery, so to jump in, never having surgery before, really barely going to the hospital aside from, like an asthma attack, having to jump in and now have a spinal fusion, I mean, I was absolutely terrified. Obviously, before all this, I had met with my surgeon beforehand, and he had told me exactly how the spinal fusion was going to work, and exactly where they need to drill, and exactly how they're going to do this, and what this is going to mean, and all of that. And I kind of skipped explaining that step, because it's kind of just exactly what I said earlier. But basically, they prepped me all up. I talked to my surgeon, shook his hand. We got all set to go. I went in with my family, so my mom, my sister, my dad, and I had my best friend that I had known since I was a kid. I mean, we were all there, and it was a good moment, you know, like, I don't know if I would have been able to get through it without them. They were all there, and we kind of just sat together, and it was quiet. I know my buddy and my sister were trying to lighten up the mood. They were just kind of laughing and just being, you know, just being the people I really needed to be there, because, like I said, I was terrified. I was shaking. I was beyond afraid. But having my family there, and having just the enormous amount of support behind me. I mean, I had all of you guys at the time. My channel was not nearly as big as it is now, and it's not even big now, but it was not nearly as big as it is today. I mean, I only have like 4,000 subscribers now, but at the time I only had like a few hundred. But everybody, I mean, I was streaming a lot before then, so everybody that I had talked to, all the viewers that I had gained at that time, the amount of support that you guys had given me through this, and the amount of support that you guys had given me, you know, that I could read on my phone pre-op while I was laying in my hospital bed, terrified out of my mind. I really can't thank you guys enough. You guys have made this so much easier on me. I mean, this has been an extremely difficult time, and for someone that had been so afraid to have surgery, to have such a major surgery, to have you guys there, and to have my family and my friends there, all supporting me and just rooting for me and telling me it's all gonna be okay, it really means the absolute world to me, and I really hope you guys know that. So basically, I said goodbye to my family in a sense. Not goodbye, I wasn't gonna go die. I said goodbye in a sense, as I'll see you guys again in a few hours. They wheeled me into the back room behind the two closed doors that nobody else is going to be allowed to go behind. They wheeled me down this very long hallway. It was very cold, is what I remember. I was also wearing like no clothes except for a hospital gown, so that's probably why I was cold. But they wheeled me down the hallway. They wheeled me into the operating room. They put me up on the table. And that is the absolute last thing that I remember. The operation lasted about 4 to 5 hours, or maybe even 6. It was somewhere in there. It was like 4 to 6 hours, and I was in the hospital post-op for I think 3 or 4 days until they could make sure that I was okay and everything went well. Then they sent me home. So they sent me home, and I have been in recovery ever since. The very first like 3, 4, 5, 6 months were, to say brutal is kind of an understatement. They were beyond difficult. I mean, my sister told me that, I remember she told me like literally like a few weeks ago, she told me that I looked like I wanted to die. Honestly, the amount of pain that the fusion had put me in was excruciating, and I really can't put it into words. I had never felt pain as extreme as I had felt it post-op. While I was recovering, I had to do a lot of walking. I mean, even though for the most part I was in so much pain that I really didn't want to move. I just wanted to lay down, and that was all I really could do. We had a physical therapist at the time that was coming to my house, making sure I could, or not making sure I could, but really showing me how again to walk up the stairs and walk down the street, and making sure I'm not going to go fall down in the shower. They made sure that I could function at, you know, like a normal human being. And even though I wasn't able to bend, and I wasn't able to twist, I wasn't able to do anything like that, she did help. She helped me, you know, make sure that I can move my legs again, in the sense like, you know, I could stretch my legs as much as I could before, so that I can, you know, put my socks on and do all the little things that without being able to bend, it can get very, very difficult to do that kind of stuff. So she made sure I could walk, made sure I could walk upstairs, downstairs, you know, not really run. We don't ever really got to that point, but just very, very simple things. She wanted to make sure I could do those, and along with that and catching up on school, I mean, like I said, I had my surgery when I was 18, so I was a senior in high school. I had missed literally like 4, 5, 6 months of school, so I had been catching up from school. It was extremely, extremely stressful, and I was dealing with so many things at the same time. I mean, I was dealing with, like I said, the amount of pain that it had put me in, even like mentally being able to comprehend doing any sort of schoolwork or really doing anything else was just not really gonna happen. At the time, it wasn't even only my back that was hurting. I mean, after you have a major surgery like that, usually the meds that they put you on, I mean, I was on, I don't remember what the meds were, but they were in like the Vicodin class. They were very, very extreme painkillers, and the painkillers severely screwed up my stomach. So, you know, not only was my spine causing me just excruciating pain, just from the fusion in general, my stomach was extremely bad. I mean, you get pretty constipated when it comes to the meds that they give you. If they're like extreme painkillers, you can get very, very constipated, and my stomach was just awful. Like I said, so not only was it my back that was just killing me, it was also my stomach at the time. So it was a lot of pain in a lot of different ways, and the first few months of my recovery were just beyond horrible. But we did get through those. Like I said, I am now 10 months and 16 days post-op, so it's been a very, very long time, and to say that I am feeling better would be lying, because I'm not. I mean, I am still in excruciating pain. It comes kind of in waves, and some days are worse than others depending on whether it's cold or not, whether it's raining. A lot of things change how I feel nowadays, but I mean, 10 months and 16 days post-op now, and I'm still in a lot of pain. I mean, I'm still hurting pretty bad, and I hope one day it'll stop. And we're doing a lot of things now to help me manage the pain, in a sense, because I've kind of already admitted to myself, and I know because of doctors that have told me that it will never stop, in a sense. You know, the pain will always be there. My spine will always be fused. That will not change. But we can manage it. We can do things that can, you know, we can put me on different meds. We can we can give me different exercises. And there can be a few different things that we can actually do to manage my pain. And that's kind of where we're at today. I mean, I'm seeing a few different specialists that we're going to try and get me on some nerve medication that can help the crush nerves that are in my spine. There's a whole bunch of different things that we're doing now, in a sense, to try and just help manage the pain, because it's been very, very bad. I mean, it was a few months before I was even able to get out of bed and actually like actively make my videos like I do today. So it's been bad. I mean, a lot of people recover differently. Everybody recovers differently. I mean, me personally, it's going to take me longer to recover than a lot of other people because a lot of my job and a lot of what I do is sitting. So I don't have a lot of mobility. I don't have a lot of, I'm not very active in a sense. So it's very difficult for my spine and my body to recover quicker if I'm just kind of sitting here. So for people that, I mean, I've seen people recover in a matter of like 7 months, like they've been feeling completely better, back to dancing and cheerleading, whatever they were doing beforehand, you know, they're doing now. For me, like I said, I'm 10 months post-op. I've seen people that have taken up to like 5 years to recover, and I hope that it won't be, I hope that I'm not one of those people that's going to take that long to recover, but it's kind of looking like that's where we'll be going. I think the hardest part about all of it all was not necessarily the pain. I think the pain's been horrible, and I can't, like, I mean, if you just threw it on to anyone else, I don't think they'd be able to necessarily handle it unless they felt it before. So the pain has been terrible, and it's not been easy to deal with at all. I think the hardest part though was adjusting to not being able to bend. That part has been very, very difficult. I mean, I know that I had to learn how to get out of bed in a sense, because I can't just bend out of bed. So I had to learn how to basically like commando roll out of bed. I had to learn how to put my socks on, how to put my shoes on, how to put my pants on, even just very basic things that I never thought I wouldn't be able to do, but now I've had to adjust and find ways of doing it. Like to put my socks on now, I have to put my sock basically upside down on my hand and bend my leg all the way back and try and like put my sock on upside down, because I can't bend over to put it on. There's so many things that have changed and so many things that I will not ever be able to do again, in a sense, just because I can't bend, just because I don't have any lumbar movement in my back. It has affected me more than I can say. Like I said before, we even got the surgery, I mean, I knew that there was a chance this would really, really affect my life, and I think I was so desperate to the point where I just wanted the pain to stop. You know, I didn't want to feel chronic pain every single day. I didn't want to be hurting anymore. So I wanted all that to stop, and that's the reason I got the surgery. And obviously that didn't fix it. So I get this question a lot, and I ask myself a lot: was it worth it? Was the surgery worth it? And for people that are getting a spinal fusion in the near future, was it worth it? Did it fix my problem? Did it help? And like I said, I ask myself this so many different times in my life, and I've asked myself this in many different ways. Was it worth it? Yes and no. You know, one side of that, it was definitely worth it because it fixed my spine. You know, my spine is no longer curved. My spine is completely straight. I have the best posture in the world. My spine is now fixed, and that's what they were meaning to do. The downside of that is I really got the surgery to fix my pain. Like I said, I didn't want to be hurting every single day for the rest of my life, so I got the surgery and hoped that it would fix that. It fixed my spine. I mean, it made my spine straight, and that's really what they wanted to do. The reason I got it was to minimize my pain, and it really just took one major problem with pain and turned it into a whole different thing. I mean, I had felt the pain that I had felt for years and years and years because of my spine, and I was kind of used to it in a point. I was kind of numb to it, and I had adjusted to it, and I kind of accepted it, but I didn't want to feel it anymore. So when I got the surgery, I was hoping that it would fix that, and it didn't. It didn't fix it even in the smallest way. I mean, it took that pain away, of the pain of it leaning on my pelvis, and it added just a whole nother realm of pain. I mean, I guess once you jump into the rabbit hole, you don't really know what's going to bite you, and that I didn't really expect. I don't think I was fully prepped, in a sense, for how much pain I was actually going to be in post-op. I mean, like I said, it's been 10 months and I'm still in excruciating pain, so I really wasn't prepared mentally enough for how much pain I would actually be in after surgery. I didn't know that it would make my pain worse. I didn't know that, I mean, maybe the hope is that eventually the pain will be better. I didn't realize that it was going to take this long, and that the pain was going to be so intense compared to what I had felt before. So I think I was severely unprepared for what I was going to feel and what I was going to have to deal with. But I think, was it worth it? Yeah, I think it was worth it. I mean, even though I've been through a lot, and even though it's really put a strain on me and my family, I think that it's made me the person that I am today. You know, without the pain that I had felt, I don't think I'd be the person that I am. I mean, I'm a person that really wants to help people, that really tries to look at life with a positive outlook and really help people with really anything. I mean, that's something I've tried to do for so long. And I think without feeling all the pain that I have and pushing through it every single day, I don't think I'd be the person that I am today. So, was it worth it? Yeah. I mean, in the end of the day, even with feeling all the pain that I've felt, I think it was definitely worth it. So I guess that's it, guys. That's my story. That's hopefully has answered some questions about my back, and hopefully you got something out of this video. The main reason I made this, one, obviously, was to answer questions, and two, was to show you guys that no matter what you're going through, no matter how much of life is pushing against you, I promise that you can fight through it. I mean, no matter what you're facing, no matter what the obstacle is, no matter what you are, no matter what life throws at you, in a sense, you can fight through it. You can push through it. People are so much stronger than they think they are, and they don't realize that until after, but you are so much stronger than you realize, and I promise you, no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're feeling, no matter how much pain you're in, no matter how upset you are, whatever your situation may be, I promise you, you can fight through it. I promise you, you can fight through it. You've just got to keep fighting, and until one day it changes. Like I said, life is very, very, very long, and there's a lot of time for things to change and a lot of time for things to get better. So no matter what situation you're in, no matter what struggles you're facing, no matter what life is thrown at you, I promise you can fight through it. You've just got to keep fighting. You've got to keep thinking that one day this will get better. You know, no matter what, I can't give up. I can't let this win. And if you have that outlook, I promise you can fight through anything. So that's it, guys. That's my story. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys got something out of it. If you guys are new around here, be sure to subscribe for more content from me. I'd really appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to smack that like button. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys next time.